Oh my God, they're doing Stop the Steal. Oh, this makes me so excited. This is kind of cool. 39,000 likes, now deleted, claiming Starlink runs on Linux, which inherently cannot count votes from multiple parties. Musk sent Starlink terminals only to swing states for the election. Linux, which is Starlink's operating system, cannot, in simple terms, split or count votes from multiple parties. It would explain why Dems report their vote not being processed. Starlink connects to the internet, which is a big no-no for elections because the network can be hacked. Joe Rogan was told that Musk knew the election results 4 hours before everyone else. Starlink would explain why. I think people are just like saying words. I haven't been able to understand what their argument is for like the ISP. Like Starlink, okay, as an internet service provider can track your movements, okay? For sure. Like there is an incredible amount of surveillance that you can engage in with an ISP, right? And every ISP does do that. They work with the federal agencies, yada, 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 right? That's why sometimes you'll get like a notification from your ISP that says like, we've caught you watching illegal broadcasts. Like we've caught you watching fucking, I don't know, the latest Disney movie, and if you do it again, like you will be punished or whatever, right? Now, yeah, or torrenting shit. It happens. So they can do that, but they can't like intercept and infiltrate and like change the results of the vote count of like real human beings that are counting the votes. Like there is a part of this that does not make sense. I think it's kind of wild that on the one hand, we have officially reached like liberals basically saying like, fuck the Latinos, fuck the Muslims, like fuck everybody. We're going to deport our neighbors. Like, you know, it's going to be awesome. And also on top of that, they're now doing like Blue Anon shit. Oh my God.
And to be quite honest with you, I'd much rather lose and people know than not do anything and sit on it, okay? This was brought to my attention yesterday from a friend of mine. His name is Mr. Wheezy, Mr. Wheezy 100, and he's an engineer. I'm not going to get into information about him, okay? And he brought this to my attention because, you know, he also understands that, you know, I have my CCIE. You know, I've been a programmer and a networker for the past almost 11 years, you know, for networking and computers and all those, you know, all those other things. With that being said, it was brought to my attention, and I'm going to, at the end of this video, make sure you watch the whole entire thing, please post it, boost it, because I'd rather lose and, you know, lose whatever I need to in order to get the information out than to not say anything and sit on it, because I absolutely fucking refuse to be like this. This is a give back to my dad and, you know, everything that he went through. Anyways. With that being said,
not gonna lie, don't you think that this is low-hanging fruit to shit on them, considering the damage a Trump presidency will inevitably do? I know I sound like a lib right now. Wait, what? Brother, if something is just like demonstrably untrue, then I'm gonna call it out. You know, what do you mean? What my expectation is, if your expectation for me is to not tell people that they're wrong, and I do this for the left, I do this for liberals, and I always do this for the right. If your expectation is that I just like, you know, sit back and watch this like mainstreamification of unhinged conspiracy theories that Republicans engaged with in the 2020 election defeat from the side of liberals, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not going to feed into people's delusions. Also, and this is perhaps even more important than anything else, it's very funny. Like, and it comes from the same exact anger and resentment that people felt in the 2020 election. Like, Republicans could not cope and reckon with the reality that like their president was unpopular. They loved him. They loved him a lot. So they were like, how the fuck did our God King lose to a carcass? That's what they said in 2020. That's why they believed it. And the major difference here is that like no massive mainstream media outlet nor any politicians thus far are leaning into this like lib-anon, blue-anon conspiracies in the way that the entirety of the Republican Party leaned into it over and over and over again until it reached its final moment with January 6th. Anyway, I want to know what Mr. Wheezy had to say.
He sent me a video letting me know that California and other swing states were able to use Starlink in order to tally up and to count ballot votes or voting ballots in their state. Okay, there's a multitude of issues with that, and I'm going to explain to you why. And I'll explain to you in layman's terms, because you have to understand when it comes to computer programming jargon, you guys are not going to understand what the flying F I'm fucking talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
So anything that you guys don't understand or you want more clarification from, please message me. I have no problems explaining it to you. With that being said, okay, you also have to understand that when it comes to Starlink, okay, Starlink is it's an IPv4, it's an IPv6. Basically what that means is that it's a specific satellite link-up system that sends signals to whatever it's hooked up to. Doesn't matter what it is, like a normal internet connection, right? With that being said, two things. Number one, why in the flying freaking flap?
Yeah, can you imagine like Kamala Harris retweeting this woman on her personal Twitter page? Because that's what Donald Trump did for like the entire lame duck period. Just understand how fucked up that was. And hopefully this will snap you back to reality. When Donald Trump did it, it was insane. Obviously, liberals will not do the same thing. Or at least like the party will not do the same thing, even though it seems like there's a lot of appetite from liberals, at least like on the ground, organically saying, I don't believe we actually lost.
Okay, we're voting fucking voting ballot boxes or whatever, the places where you go to fucking vote. Why were they connected to the internet? There is absolutely zero reasons as to why those systems were connected to the internet. Those machines have absolutely no problem tallying up votes like they have done since the beginning of time. Now, all of a sudden, he wants to come in here and talk about, oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and help you because I know, there's a lot more people voting and it's going to be difficult, this and this and that. There's not a lot of people that volunteer to help, blah, 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 blah. Let me help you to tally up the votes in order to be able to help you guys. And
I'm a top tier engineer working at Google. Starlink can't do what she's saying. IPv4 is just a fucking spec. Ignore anyone using words like these. She knows she's just using computer terms people don't know to sound smart. Very 80s hacker movie shit. I just don't understand. Like, a lot of this data, I suspect, is probably encrypted. Okay. But not only that, but also like launching an initiative to literally go in, take all of this data and manipulate it, okay, in real time before it reaches like the appropriate destination is incredible work. Like, I don't think you have the capability, as far as I understand, to do that. And even if you were to have that capability, okay, there's still people on the ground that counted the fucking votes. Do you understand? Like, what do you do about that? Like, people are just gonna be like, wait a minute, like, that's not true. I am a person who was tasked with counting the paper ballots. like if she thinks that the vote machines that were connected to Starlink, which I don't think that's what happened. But if she's saying that like the vote machines were connected to Starlink, even then, like, this is an incredibly complex scheme that I don't even know if there is enough technological prowess out there to in real time change these vote machines from clicking on Kamala Harris to automatically voting for Donald Trump. And if that was the case, why wouldn't they also swap out the down ballot races? This makes no sense. Yeah, people who love being in the tank for Donald Trump also wanted Rashida Tlaib to outperform Kamala Harris by massive margins. What? My dad is an election judge in North Carolina. Y'all, come on. That man did not spend 5 hours hand counting that shit for you to try and dunk on him like this. No, your dad is in the pocket of Elon Musk. Okay, I know it.
And make things easier for you. Oh, what a sweetheart you are. What a sweetheart you are. But for those of us who know the business, we're not dumb.
We need gay January 6th. I need it. You are correct. Libs do not understand how proprietary files work. Elon cannot just grab a super specific file through Starlink and just change the numbers within it and then send it back to the OG receiver. Think of it as a video game save file. You need specific software to read, access, and alter data within it. Libs have lost it 100%. No, and also doing that across the board in every swing state in real time. You have to have like the greatest hackers with the proper software and working in real time and doing it in a way where there's no trace that remains. And also, once again, like it's virtually impossible for you to be able to do this because I think in every state, with the exception of like Missouri or Alabama, there's still a paper receipt. There's a paper receipt for all of this. There's like a paper trace for all of the votes that were cast in every single fucking polling station. So what do you do? Anyway,
Okay.
hold on.
So again, you have to understand that when it comes to Starlink, okay, Starlink is a tri-band Fi6 system. Okay, like I said before, it sends signals to whatever it's hooked up to and bounces back and forth, and this and that. You know what I'm saying? It's a basic system, it's highly intelligent AI process system, right? And with that being said, it's amazing, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not going to take away the fact that this man is a genius, okay? And I will say that, but genius in a lot of ways. Again, with that being said, you also have to understand that when you are using a Linux operating system, which is what Starlink also is, okay? This is going to be difficult to explain, but I'll try the best that I can. When you are sending signals back and forth to expel or to read information, right? The information that's being read, it's not normal information. So in other words, it's not a normal internet connection. Like irregular internet connections, it's a broad span of all different types of fucking information. Doesn't matter what it is, what you're looking up, 50,728 fucking things that come in and out of the fucking signal and processes it and allows it to bounce back and fucking tell you whatever fucking answer that you need, right? Okay, straight. Now, with Linux systems, there is no fucking way, unless you are processing different systems and different programming to the Linux BIOS in order to fucking bounce back the information that you're getting. In other words, the information that you're getting has to be the same repetitive fucking thing. So in other words, if you're gonna process this and you're going to tally up whatever, right? It's only going to process one specific thing. In other words, so let's say you're going to separate it, right? Okay, we're only going to separate this system so that way it only reads Dem votes, or it only reads, Republican votes, or only reads, Libertarian votes, or whatever, right? To separate each one in order to count things correctly in order for that to be correct, right? No. You have to understand, Linux systems do not work that way. It is a 4x4 minim system that only fucking works bilateral base.
Dude, I believe her. The election losers are insufferable. I disagree with you, Megaphonics. I think she's right. Linux is hard to navigate. I will say this as someone who has had to use a Linux operating system on my Steam Deck. I am in agreement with this woman. I am convinced that what she is saying is correct.
Based on what information it's fed. One thing to bounce back. So if you're counting something, it can't separate them. Is this making sense for you? You can't separate what it's counting. So, with that being said, he would have had to separate his processing system. He would have had to have sent 3 different types of gens. Gens are different operating systems that separate between the linkage signal, right? In order to switch what it's doing. So, with that being said, okay, he sent it down. He read a certain amount of fucking certain votes, right? Sure, okay, that's fine. But that's not what the fuck you did. The whole entire time that you were using this system and you were using it to tally votes, you were using a Linux system. It doesn't split. It doesn't split.
She's right. The more she yells, the more I'm convinced.
So how in the fuck were you counting things correctly when you weren't even able to separate what it was that you were counting? Is this making sense to anybody? No? Maybe? I don't, bro. I'm fucking telling you. And not only that, this is why the numbers don't make sense. This is why the numbers don't make sense. And the reason why I'm going to tell you that is because, first of all, you had guaranteed states that were going to turn blue and didn't.
Wait, what? Like, what do you mean? What states were guaranteed to turn blue and didn't turn blue? Like, at least this is the part where I do have knowledge, okay? Now we're back in my wheelhouse. And I don't understand where these people are coming from. She's a Blexis truther. My wife's entire TikTok For You page is filled with people like this. Maybe not this insane, but the general premise of someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about doing a selfie monologue, like they have any authority on subject they're discussing. That's just everything on TikTok, for the record. Also, Megaphonics subtle wife guy reveal, okay? Is this where the conspiracies are coming from? This has 1.8 million likes. Do I agree with Asmongold that Twitter was a great investment for Elon? I hate to admit that I had to give props to Elon for this, but I do think it's like financially, no. I mean, he bought it for 44 billion. It's now valued at like 20. You have to understand something. It's not just buying Twitter, but like using Twitter as a right-wing propaganda faucet. Okay. And simultaneously fully and firmly committing to Donald Trump and, trying to get him reelected has now put him in the federal government. Like this is a billionaire, the richest person on the planet, who has been the recipient of lawsuits from every single regulatory agency, okay? Every single one. And now he has complete control and influence over every single one of these regulatory agencies. It's kind of crazy. It was a perfect disaster. Asmongold thinks it did it intentionally to gain access to the presidency. No shot he purchased and devalued Twitter significantly from the beginning. If it's true, that happened later. Yeah, no, I don't think he bought Twitter to gain access to the presidency. I think he bought Twitter because he was forced to buy Twitter. He didn't want to buy Twitter for an unimaginable price point because he wanted to at least have some level of control over information, for sure, right? I mean, it's a massive social media platform. I think he purchased it specifically because, or originally I don't even think he originally wanted to purchase it. He thought he could get out of it. Then he was forced to purchase it at this like insane price point and immediately devalued it. Having said that, in the process of devaluing it, he was like, well, I'm just going to make the most of this. And I'm going to use Twitter as the new 4chan, as a faucet for unrestricted right-wing content that I agree with. And that's one thing. But he could have basically gained Trump's allegiance without buying Twitter. He could have just simply, been in the tank for Donald Trump from the start and given him $160 million like he did. And then he still would have had this level of access to Donald Trump. So it's not necessarily just that he bought it, like he lucked into it is what I'm trying to say. He has had an entire career of failing upwards over and over and over again. And I think this is yet another one of those instances. Everything is 4chan hate, to break it to you all, the world. I mean, yeah, a lot of There has been a 4chanification of TikTok as well. I mean, look at all the manosphere content that is like popping off on both TikTok and every other social media platform. Shit that like people used to say in black pill forums and red pill forums. Now average people use like mogging. You know what I mean? Mogging, mewing, all this stuff is just like normal lexicon. And it originated in these idiotic fucking black pill forums.